It's a guy, a car, and a podcast.
It's a guy, a car, and a podcast.
It's a guy, a car, and a podcast.
It's a guy, a car, and a podcast. Buckle up.
Isn't he though?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is the full technological.
Oh, I thought it had to be turned around. I was like going, oh,
I could have, and I could have used the other camera so we could see ourselves, but I figured it's
No,
less
I'm
tension
good.
for you
I'm
to
good
not.
without seeing myself.
So arguably, there's two
The
things.
camera adds 20 pounds.
You haven't changed in
Less-
15 years, and that's
Less
impressive.
hair.
I don't think so. Did you have more hair before?
Oh,
Check
yeah.
the picture.
He did have dark.
It was darker, I remember, but
It was, I can show you pictures. But it's scary. No, I really, since we got together, though, I've had short hair. She cuts my hair, and so everything's cool in
I
there.
guess it was a little shaggier. Well, I wouldn't call it like long. Did you
It was-
you like full on mullet or something there for a
No,
while? Like, what
no
did you-
full-on mullet, no. No, that was my ex-wife. She had the full-on mullet. Still wears the same hairstyle, even. But,
So the purpose. There's two things technically happening at one time here. There's this, which is the podcast, which is gonna kind of go out unedited. It's just whatever this conversation turns into, and then the video is for a documentary. So
Okay.
what ends up in the documentary is just gonna be snippets of this conversation that are relevant to the overall story. So it's just whatever we capture, we capture. I'm not. I don't even know what I'm doing. This whole
I'm
thing's just
Charlie.
a weird
Go in the bathroom.
artistic experiment.
Shut the door.
But I mean,
Shut the door!
the camera's not even pointed that way.
That's good.
This is the best.
That's
I love sound. I just love that the sound is there. That's my favorite thing.
What's that sound in the background? Yeah, this kid was peeing.
It's tiny. It's like he just lifts the one lid up. That's amazing.
Well, he usually drops trowel in there when it goes in, so.
I feel like the older I'm getting, the more I prefer that. Like, I don't want to just, unzip. I just want full access. Like,
Yeah, I was putting on his underwear this morning, and he goes, Dad, I hate skivvies. And his grandpa doesn't wear any, so.
is it our time for boxers? Do they make them that small? Or
Oh, they do.
little boxer briefs
yeah.
or something?
Yeah. That's
that's
what I feel like
amazing.
I'm wearing most of the time.
It's a good life, though, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
because even before I started coming back, like, I'm pretty sure the whole time was boxer briefs. And I mean, that might be because I was so used to garments that I was just
Yeah.
like,
well, I
this is a better
remember
life.
when I went to Palmyra to the temple,
Mhm.
the lady asked me, she says, do you need garments for, at the time I wasn't
Yeah,
I didn't have garments yet.
yeah.
And I said, and then I saw she was holding this thing up and it zipped in the back
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a full,
Yeah.
from here.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, I wouldn't even know how to put that thing on.
What is this, the 1800s? What's that?
Yeah. That's what my brother Incy wears. He and his wife have 4 children.
Oh, okay.
He claims he's never seen her naked. How can you have 4 children and never see your wife naked? She dresses in the closet.
I've heard rumors about, Orthodox Jewish practices where there's, a sheet between them, when they're having sex. Like, there's just a little hole for, where the connection happens. But there's no... And that is... It's bizarre to me, I guess, just because I come from something different, but I don't know. I'm curious about, the Puritan impact, the impact of that. Like, how does that impact their spirituality? How does that impact their affection for each other? Like, is not seeing your wife naked ever, does that allow you to, not objectify her or whatever. I just can't.
I don't get it.
Can't strip it
Just,
down.
I'm trying to figure out how. Anyway.
So, you and I met in 2003, I guess. I'm not sure how much I know about your life before that. I mean, we talked a lot in getting to know each other, but that was 15 years ago. And at the time, you were single?
I was in the process of getting divorced, and
Oh, you were in the process of getting divorced.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I remember that.
yeah, I was in the process of getting divorced.
Was that
I
pretty
was-
recent, the split?
Oh yeah.
At that point?
I mean, because I split with her in August, and I think I got baptized in October.
Oh, no kidding.
Maybe. I don't know if it was that quick, but it was quick. I mean, because I remember trying to corrupt you. Very Mason eyes. Very, very loud.
I mean, we did the funnest thing that I had ever done with any member or investigator or anything with you, and it was you, me, Haroldsen, and I think Elder Johnson and his companion tagged along. We went golfing. Do you remember that?
I
You
do.
took us
We went
golfing.
down to Scottish Heights, down near Brockway.
And Johnson was just right in his element because he's been well off his whole life. So
Yeah,
golfing.
we were like,
But me and Haroldsen are just trying not to wreck the golf cart. And
I was trying not to hit somebody on the other hole as they were trying to put it in the.
that was a lot of fun though. But
Yeah, I remember because we went down. We were going to go bowling. Yeah,
were we?
We were going to go bowling, and we called around, and no bowling alley was open. We said, "Well, what about golfing?" And we went golfing.
Wow. I don't remember that, but that makes sense. And I bet money Johnson was the one who was just like, hey, any golfers in the house? Because I feel like he coming on his mission, I feel like he just really had to shut a lot of parts of himself off because he just comes from a different way of living, a different lifestyle. So to get any little opportunity he could to just, go to some fancy dinner or just something, he was just like, yeah, that, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Let me feel like myself again. I know I sent you a while ago, long time ago. Well, I'm just trying to think what sequentially is the best way to introduce you to people, I guess.
Well, I had actually, when I was at church one day, I had mentioned, geez, I wish I could get a hold of the missionaries that taught me originally.
Yeah.
And that's when Brother Kendall said, well, there's a thing for the Pittsburgh district missionary. Anybody who served in there?
Uh-huh.
And I went on there, and I was like, I could remember the other guy's name, Sam Haroldsen.
Yeah.
So I went on there, and it chronologically says, he served with Adam Blaylock. And I said, that's the guy.
I need to find that thing. That's amazing.
I'll have to.
I remember
I'll
Walker
ask him
Payne,
about it, but
it's just interesting that they have them all
and
together.
anyway, so then I sent you an email. I said, I don't know if you're the right guy. And
Yeah.
I think you are, because
That's exactly
Phoenix.
what you said.
And then you had replied to me, and
I mean, you sent me that it was February of 2013. And by that time, I mean, I came home in 03, I got married in 06, divorced in the early part of 09, and I just left the church and hadn't really had anything to do with it for years. So you wrote me in 2013. I was actually in California with a band of mine. We weren't playing, we were actually there to see another band that we liked. And me and one of the other guys that just didn't feel like going out that night, we're just at the hotel, just laying there on the bed watching TV or something. And I just opened up Facebook, just whatever, and I get this message from you. And I mean, I've never forgotten about you, I've never not thought about you, but I just hadn't thought, I guess, about my mission in an intimate sense in a long time. And I'm just reading this message, and it's from you, and I'm anxious to just say hi. And I replied to you, yeah, this is totally the guy. And the message you wrote me back, which was probably a couple of days later, began a change in my life. Because when I first came home, I tried to stay close to you and Brittany. We talked on the phone pretty frequently. Her grandma shut me down.
Oh yeah.
Maybe like 6 months
Done.
home. Like she was just, I'm done with her talking to you. So I just lost touch with her real quick. And then with you, one of the last conversations we really ever had was you were just like, hey, I met somebody and I'm happy, but it means I'm going to choose this over the church. And, you know, I don't know. I know that must make you feel. And I think at the time I was just like, I mean, do what you got to do. You're a good man, and good things will happen. So at that time, I remember. I mean, not to put this on you. This was, I guess, me just trying to, because my mission ended difficultly. I had a companion that did some stuff he shouldn't have been doing, and put me in a position where I had to deal with it. Like I was in kind of a leadership position, so I had to put the wheels in motion to have some rough things happen to him, and so that wasn't fun. So coming home, arguably you and Brittany were like the only success, I guess, that I felt from these 2 years, and then that happened within maybe the first year or something. So I ended up just feeling like the whole thing was worthless. So fast forward to that message from you. It wasn't just a situation where it was like, oh, I guess it was a good thing I went on a mission. It was more like, I was reminded in a moment that we are God's children, and regardless of what choices we're making or where our life, what roads we put our life on, what paths we put our life on, like, He's not giving up. He didn't send us here to like just leave us be and let us just destroy ourselves. He is constantly interested in our growth and betterment, and to just see that your story took a really fun turn, like years later.
I mean, I was inactive for probably 6-7 years, and then, like I said, with a missionary stopped by, and she said, "Oh, honey, your friends are here," and then for her to teach, and she was within a couple months. She was like, "I want to do this. I want to get baptized," and I'm like, "Well, slow down. Don't let them pressure you into something you're not ready for. Make sure you're ready for it."
Wow.
You know, and then, but she says, "No, I'm ready." So I actually went in the font with her. I didn't baptize her. I went in the font with her because she has stomach issues and no musculature. Elder Deaton was about this big around. So he actually immersed her, but to bring her up,
you assisted,
I tried to help. Well, my knee, I was like pushing with my knee and my hands, and when I did, she bit her lip. So she come out of the font with a fat lip. She goes, "I didn't know baptism was supposed to hurt." And then we had an older couple that were part of the church, and his name was Brother Robbins, and he said something to her. He says, "Don't forget to tithe." He says, "Think of your tithing as your fire insurance. If you tithe, you won't see the fire of hell."
I hate that, but I love that it motivates people to do that.
In an interesting twist, like a couple years later, the apartment they lived in caught on fire. No, not funny, because he died.
Oh, shoot!
But he had his garments on, and his body, he died of smoke inhalation. His body wasn't touched by the fire.
No kidding. Wow.
And it's like, whoa, it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
You know, his wife had some minor, burns and stuff, and she just passed away recently.
Oh, wow.
But it was like, wow. But we had
literally fire insurance, like.
Yeah, we had another older lady that went to church. She was 93 years old, and she'd always go up and bear her testimony. We have Testimony Sunday every first Sunday. So she'd go up there, and she had three stories she'd tell. It was either about the Savior parting the veil so she could see her husband after he passed. Her eye surgery, something about her eye surgery. What was the third? I can't even remember what the third one was now. But she'd rotate them around so you didn't get the same testimony every month. But, you know, she was a sweet old lady. You know, they didn't have to help her up to the pulpit, but...
I mean, it's interesting that in a vein of faith, maybe her intention wasn't just to get up there and just get attention and these stories were how she was going to do it, but just that she wanted to participate. She wanted to be a part of that sacred, wonderful thing, to bear a testimony. And so, regardless of what was being said, she was going to stand there and make sure that it was being done. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, she was a nice old lady, and you know.
And so, what was I feel like, you know, as missionary, I was rereading some letters that I wrote home, and I know that I was reminded of some struggles you were having before we even really got you on date for baptism, that you were just trying to quit some stuff and just trying to get yourself right, essentially, like you said to your wife, where you were just like, don't do this unless you're ready, so you were just trying to be ready. I feel like the process of going from baptism to eventually the temple is kind of the same, where things get in the way and whatever. Did you guys have a pretty rough time?
We went to the temple the first time, and I got in trouble because I took a name with me.
Uh-huh.
And when they called me up to the desk to say, you know, you're getting baptized for this gentleman, and I said, yeah, I'm getting dunked. I'm the donkey. And I kind of got schooled a little bit.
So it was just like,
but you know,
it's a holy place. Be reverent.
Yeah. And,
like,
I mean, so we did, the first time we went, we just did baptisms and confirmations.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we wanted to be sealed, so we ended up getting sealed on her birthday because the temple was closed on a Monday.
Okay.
Her birthday was Tuesday. We were going to do it Monday.
Oh, okay.
But being that the temple was closed, we couldn't, so it wound up being on her birthday.
It's fun.
And then my 8-year-old son wanted to be baptized on her birthday this year, but we ended up having 2 weekends of snow outs, and so we couldn't get him ready at the time to do it. So, but
what a fun
you know,
way to celebrate that day now, because
I mean, she says, well, I expect a birthday and an anniversary. and we were still in the sealing room, and she thought that the sealer had left.
Yeah.
And she says, now you're stuck with me for life.
Aww.
And the guy turned around, he was still in the sealing room. And all eternity. So,
sailors are funny people. They're really, I mean, they're gentle and they're kind, but they're good.
We went there, and then we went to Palmyra once, and that was nice because we were able to go to the Sacred Grove, and we were able to see where Joseph grew up.
I've never been to any of those places.
That kind of thing, and I mean, that was a really good experience.
Yeah.
But then, you know, we just had a falling out, and with people, and pride, and some words were said that weren't very nice, and you know, so, and then they made the person that we were having issues with the first counselor in the branch presidency, and I said, I can't support that, and I objected, and so did she. So then we had to talk to the stake president as to why we were objecting, and then they still put him in. And I mean, he talks about everybody. Talked about everybody. You know, we took the temple trip down to D.C. when we did the baptisms. They went with us, him and his wife. And the entire ride down there, I heard about every member of our branch, what they did for a living, who to stay clear of, who to, you know. It's like, really, this is not what we should be talking about.
Do you get the impression like your objections, as reported to the stake presidency, became a source of counsel for him? Like, did they talk to him about those things, and did you see some sort of a change?
I really didn't see a big change, you know, because we just kind of said, well, if he's going to be there, I'm not going to be there.
I mean, sincerely?
And now he lives 2 doors down.
Good on the both of you for, like, having the courage. Because, I mean, the social construct, the culture of this church gets to the point that you can get afraid to step out of line, or you can get afraid to be not conform to the situation. So good on the both of you for voicing an issue. That's what that process, the whole sustaining process, has a purpose. It's if you know something, if you have a problem, bring it forward. And I feel like so many people don't. They just let
they just
happen. They're like, it was revealed he's supposed to be that, so off I go. But
well, I mean, I believe in revelation and personal revelation, and to me, I didn't feel that someone who talks about everybody should be in a position where I have to go to this person. If I have an issue, I don't want the whole church knowing what I'm struggling with, or what I've went and talked to somebody about.
It's like the religious version of patient-client confidentiality.
And the thing is, like I said, now he lives 2 doors down on the corner, and I've actually taken him into a room separately, and I said, look, we had one of the high counselors had come up and given a talk about his father, who was a businessman, and he had done some business with a guy in the church. Yeah. And the guy didn't pay him. Oh. And he said he ended up going to that guy, and he held a grudge for a long time. And he went up to the guy and said, I'm sorry that I held a grudge against you, even though, you didn't pay me. And, I want to be forgiven. Yeah. Because I held the grudge, and I shouldn't have. Well, I went to him and said, look, I didn't sustain you, and these are the reasons why. I'm sorry I didn't sustain you. Some people are called to a calling because they need the calling, and some people are called to a calling because the calling needs them. And so now I've went down and shoveled his sidewalk, and when we've gotten snowstorms and different things,
I love that you said less than an hour ago to me, before we were doing all this, that you're just like, you're not the best example of all this, and you're so flawed and imperfect. I don't know a single member of this church, I can't name a single person that has ever admitted to me that they behave that way, that they would go and apologize when they, just to be, not just to be on good terms, to live charity. That's what you just said. That thing you just expressed is...
We have a lady that lives 2 doors up. We call her Miss Junior. She's 70 years old. Fixed income, The kids get a bag sent home every week from school with soup and different things. Yeah. We don't eat it. Yeah. So I always take it up and say, if you want any of this, you got first choice. Yeah. So she, she'll take whatever she wants, and then usually I end up taking the rest back to the food bank. Because usually it's not, it's soup or it's something that...
Basics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something... Like last year, we were getting protein bars and all kinds of good stuff. This year is... it's a little skimpier. We get tomato soup or chicken noodle soup and maybe some generic raviolis in it. But, the kids just love her, and she is very patient with them. I mean, she'll Charlie, you need to listen to your dad, or something like that. But they go up there and they'll sit there for hours coloring and doing stuff with her. Well, we invited her down with the sisters. And, they did their thing and explained about the Book of Mormon and asked her to, and she says, I won't take it. And at the end, after all said and done, I went and talked to the missionaries like the next Sunday, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm so disappointed. She says, we get it every day. We're used to it. She says, so it really wasn't. I mean, she's a very faith-filled woman. Uh-huh. I mean, she goes to church. She reads her Bible probably 2 to 3 hours a day. I mean, she studies. I mean,
that's not a terribly long book for that level of study. You're going through it once every 6 months.
That, different books on the bad women of the Bible or different things like that. Oh, there's some real winners in the Bible, You think about, Delilah. and different, you know, ones they talk about being harlots and everything else, and you know, you just. But she ended up giving me a book. It was called The Red Sea Rules, and it was 10 rules, and you know, basically how to deal with stress is what it basically is.
Wow.
And one of the quotes in there that I loved was, worrying about things is putting a question mark where God already put a period. Because He knows what's going to happen to you. You don't know. So, you know, you worrying about it isn't going to help you. But
there's this movie came out a few years ago, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, like this continuation of the Harry Potter universe. And there's just this one small moment in the movie where the main character, he's basically kind of Asperger's. Like he's high functioning, but he's on the spectrum in the sense of the way he socializes with people and stuff like that. He's just a little off normal. And there's another character in the story who's asking, like, how do you? Because I think he'd just gotten out of a situation that was pretty high stress or whatever, and she's like, how do you do this? How do you manage all this craziness? And he says, I'm going to paraphrase it because I just can't remember the exact line, and the exact line is brilliant, but it's something along the lines of, I've just found that if you worry, you suffer twice. And it has to do with the fact that, like, you end up worrying, you worry, and so you're stressed all the way up to the moment that whatever you think is going to happen or not going to happen actually happens. And then when it doesn't turn out the way that you were worrying about it, well, now you just feel dumb for having worried about it. And so he just doesn't let himself worry about things. He's like, why let myself suffer twice? And it was, you know, the movie had a whole different narrative to it that I was engaged in. But that line, like, stuck in my heart. And I'm like, that's a good point. You need to relax and just...
I ended up, now as the branch mission guy, I have to give a talk every 3 months. Just as my missionaries do.
Yeah.
So I ended up, my talk was on that book. Even though it's a, you know, not a quote-unquote Latter-day Saint book, it was written by somebody who obviously believes in it. And, you know, I gave a 20-minute talk on it, and I got to get a hold of Shane because he still has the book. But I let the book out. This is the 4th or 5th time that people from church have asked to read the book. So,
I mean,
you know,
somewhere in the Doctrine and Covenants it talks about, like, seek ye out of the best books. Like, it's the intention isn't wait for God to reveal something, wait for it to be canonized as scripture, and then only dump your attention into that. Like, there's a lot of great philosophers and mentors and just great minds out there. Like, seek their wisdom, seek their opinions, and I don't know, even if they're wrong, like, go and read what they're saying, and if they're wrong, maybe what they're wrong about can help direct you to what's right or what the truth is, you know? I don't know.
Then we decided that we wanted to adopt because we weren't having children. And she said, well, my mom lived here for a little while, which you put two women in the same house, not a good idea. Well, so we would go out for walks. And, you know, we talked about the adoption process and that. And we ended up talking about going on a senior mission when we were older. And, you know, we're out on a back road behind the high school. There's nobody around. We went for our patriarchal blessing. And he said that we would be able to serve a mission later. And he said we were struggling with whether to adopt one or more. And she's like, if I can't adopt siblings, I don't want to adopt. Because she was adopted as a sibling.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I'd rather just do one, you know. When we went for our patriarchal blessing, he said, the children that come into your home you will be able to adopt.
Yeah.
And when we got up, she's like, haha, the big guy's on my side. So we ended up with the first child that we got he was 13. And
Yeah.
only stayed for a day. But then we got Kane and Reagan. I actually knew the foster parents who had them before us. And she said, she knew we were getting into the fostering program, and she said, she says, I think you guys would be perfect for Kane and Reagan. And so we had to go meet them. And as soon as we walked around the corner, Kate just put up this big smile. And when we left, she says, those are going to be our kids. I'm like, we haven't even approved for them to come to our house. Well, I got approved, and we ended up going over and getting their stuff while they were at a visit. And then when they brought them back from the visit, instead of taking them to their house, they took them to our house. But they were only 18 months and 2 years old. 2.5.
Yeah.
And, it was a 2.5 year journey to adopt those two.
Yeah.
And we're like, come on, hurry up. We were getting frustrated with the whole system because anytime the parent did anything right, they've changed. Well,
because the system, is definitely on the side of the parents.
If we hadn't been in long enough. If we hadn't been in so long, he wouldn't have been available to us because we would have gotten out right after they got adopted. Because we had 2 kids. We were fine with that. Because they held us up, they called us about him, and the wife had asked the elder, she said, I keep having this dream that I'm going to get a baby boy, and his name's going to be Charlie, and, this and that. And she said, I can see it in the clouds, his name like sky written, the bassinet. She says, I keep having the same dream. And the elder said, it's a sign from, that Heavenly Father wants you to have Charlie. Well, they called and we ended up, we'll take him, Well, I was worried that you wouldn't take him because his given name wasn't Charlie. And I said, but it will be. And even though the mother didn't even want anything to do with him, it still took us over a year to adopt him. Because she had to name all of the guys that she had slept with. So she'd name 2 or 3, and then when they came back negative, she'd think, 12 guys later, and we still don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. So they ended up, that's it, that's enough.
Yeah.
And, so they were actually adopted within months of each other.
Wow.
I mean, they 2 oldest were in October of 14, and he was in April of 15.
Nice.
But it's an interesting thing with them. Because we've talked 100 times about, well, how do we tell them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we're sitting out here one day doing something, and Caden just walked out nonchalantly, Mom, am I adopted?
Yeah.
And I was like, I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I said, I guess it's time. And I said, yeah, you are. And he says, well, what's that mean? And I said, it means your parents couldn't take care of you, so we were given and trusted to take care of you, and so we took on that role as your parent. You don't need to badmouth the person. You just, if they want to know the full story later, okay, I can tell them. But at 7 or 8 years old, they don't need to know. So.
Wow. I don't know how many movies you guys might watch together, but one came out actually just this year called Instant Family. It's got Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne and what have you. It's tremendous, and it's on the subject. The director
maybe it's on Netflix.
went through all of this, like he and his wife adopted 2 or 3 kids or something like that, and so the movie's based on his own experience, but it just... The reason he made it is because most people, like, they're just like, oh, you should adopt to people as if it's easy, and he, having gone through the experience and how not easy it is, he made a movie based on that.
I mean, the thing, you know, had you had them biologically,
yeah.
you would have taken care of yourself while you were pregnant. You wouldn't have done the drugs that were done.
Right.
You would have taken prenatal care and done the vitamins and all that. And there are issues because the parents didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, Reagan struggles reading. And it all comes from that first year and a half they were with the mother, and she basically sat them there and turned on the idiot box. You know, they didn't know any better.
So their attention's just screwed. Like, they just have a hard time focusing.
And, I mean, Caden, he tries hard. He reads well, you know, but test-wise, he doesn't test well. You know, so he can sit here and read a book to you, but when it comes to the test...
Like retention and bringing it back to his memory. Yeah, something. Wow.
So, you know, and then Charlie, he just has his wonderful scream. When he gets upset, he screams. And it does grate on your nerves, don't get me wrong, but, you know, some people don't understand that that's part of the 7 wonderful drugs that his mother decided to take while she was pregnant with him.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, you specifically going into parenting, I mean, when I met
especially
you...
at older age.
Yeah, exactly. When I met you, you were living with your son, and I mean, that looked from the outside like a challenging experience, but I don't remember you ever letting it. Like, you seemed comfortable, and you seemed just familiar, and I don't know, I mean, you just loved him, and
he had his own challenges with major syndrome, and you know, the bad part about it is, you know, for 11 years he was daddy's little boy. We got married. I'm not allowed to see him. I'm not allowed to have anything to do with him. You know, I took her to court. The court basically said, well, he's having issues, so we're going to suspend visitation till this gets worked out. Well, she never even attempted to try to work it out, so it was just easier. Anytime we would talk to him on the computer or something, she found out that we were talking to him on the computer. She shut off her internet.
Wow.
So that we couldn't have contact with him. She just...
So he wants contact with you, but...
I don't know at this point. You know, at the beginning he did. You know, at this point, I don't know.
Is he being just fed a bunch of, like, false information?
I'm
that's,
sure
like,
he was
skewed
fed
his
a
perspective?
ton of information. You know, and I've had to come to terms with that. 28. Yeah.
I mean, do you know anything about, like, what he's doing? Or
He works at a place over in Bradford called Futures that they employ people who have handicaps.
Okay.
And give them jobs that they're capable of doing, and
you
know, like,
so the place he works for is an agency that distributes him to companies.
They work right. They have their own factory
on that campus or whatever.
Yeah, and they, you know, but they have different companies come to them and say, okay, we need. Like, I know one kid that was boxing up cups.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Jared was at the time doing flints for Zippo lighters. Okay. And he was so proud. He sent me a message. Dad, I did set the record for the most flints ever cut in a week. You know, and he had $300-400 paycheck for cutting flints, and they get paid piecework.
Wow.
So, you know, he got a lot of flints for that. You know.
I mean, does that put him in? Is he ever going to be out on his own, or is he always going to?
Not until his mother dies, because his mother won't let him. He wanted to go to California to make video games. He wanted to go to California.
But now he's to the age where, like, you figure the courts would. I mean, where
it's
how
not
would the courts step in
necessarily.
if
She's got it that
she like his
she's
guardian
like
or
his
something,
guardian,
or- okay.
where she gets to make the decisions.
She has to sign off on anything that he
Yeah.
gets involved in.
Right.
Wow.
And I mean, I wanted to send him right after high school. I wanted to send him. There's a place down in Johnstown called the Hiram G. Andrews Center.
Mhm.
They teach the kids a vocation. You know, her brother went for auto mechanics.
Mhm.
You know, there are kids who have trouble in a mainstream school,
Yeah.
and they take them and they teach them a vocation.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to go, and she was like, nope, you're not going, because there's nobody. They don't have somebody who could be there for him. There are certain things he can't do for himself, and he would need an aid, and they couldn't provide that.
So in that realm, regardless of whether she was in the picture or not, likely he wouldn't be able to.
Right,
He
but-
could probably do maybe 70% of things on
Right.
his own, but
Yeah.
there's still some areas.
Yeah, there's some areas because
Yeah.
of the arms being so short that you really just
Has
can't do.
he had any like relationships? Has there been any adultness that's crept
No.
into his life? Nothing.
No, it doesn't even seem. I mean, he'll talk about, oh, so and so, she's really good looking, or something like
that's
that.
cute.
But
But
you
he
know,
hasn't
he
received that
doesn't.
kind of attention yet, where somebody's like,
Yeah, and
sweet on
I
him or
just
whatever.
don't think. Unfortunately, I don't think that's in the
I don't
cards.
know his
for him.
personality well enough to
His
know. Like,
personality,
is he,
yeah, but his. I mean,
is he
that's-
affected by that? Like, does he see other people walking around
I don't
holding
know.
hands and in
I
love, and he feels like,
I don't know.
I don't know, less
You know.
than or whatever? Like,
I don't know. His mom thought it was a great idea when 21st birthday took him to Vegas.
She took him to Vegas,
Her and her son.
like, and gave him the Vegas experience. Like,
Oh yeah. Thought that was a great idea.
that does not seem like a great idea.
No, not at all.
And you haven't talked to him before or since that experience to find out, like, what?
No,
Wow. How do you get information about him? Like, is he
I
on social
creep
media?
on social
He's
media.
on social
I
media?
creep on social media.
Do
Stop.
you think he knows that? Is that his weird little smoke signal way of just talking to you because he can't? He's just like,
I
well, at
don't
least
know.
now see this.
You know, I don't know if he puts that much thought into it.
Wow.
But
That's rough.
yeah. So.
But cognitively, he's 28.
Oh.
It's just the
Yeah.
physical handicap, yeah.
Yeah. Cognitively, he's all about.
Wow.
You tell him. His big thing as he was growing up was football jerseys. He had football jerseys from every team. You know, in basketball, he got a couple of them.
I remember that. He used to throw the ball around the house and
He,
stuff.
you know, but you'd ask him something about somebody and he could rattle off, you know, all kinds of stats and things like that. But
I mean, and I don't mean to ask an emotionally difficult question, but with as hard as the situation is, do you have some kind of plan? Are you sort of eyeballing some time in the future when you might have power or control or some way to, like, get back in his life, you know?
I'd like to be in his life, but at this point, it's on him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know there's nothing he can really, because of his mother.
Right.
But once his mother, you know, I've invited him to the house, and more than once, you know, and he knows where I live. You know, I've never, you know, I've lived in the same place for 15 years, you know, so he knows where I live. It's not a matter of not knowing, and
he was your first child, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And so, you know, now it's on him. If he wants to have a relationship, I would love to, but I can't sit back and just go, oh, tomorrow it's going to happen. Oh, tomorrow. It may never happen. And I had to come to grips with that. You know, I thought it would happen when he got out of high school. Well, then his mom kept him in high school until he was 21.
Oh, wow.
Because you can do that here. If they're handicapped, you can keep them
Yeah.
in high school until they're 21.
Yeah.
So it was just a way of her getting money for.
I mean, being disconnected from your situation, the thing that bothers me about that is you would think that some of these things would serve as evidence to the courts of the mother taking advantage, like that they
You'd think,
that they can't see
they don't.
that things aren't being done for the benefit of the child here.
Nope.
And especially knowing you, and I imagine you present yourself as well in a court system as you do.
Obviously,
to me
I do
personally,
because they gave me 3
yeah,
others.
like
You
that's
know?
bananas.
Yeah. So.
I mean, was even just that process like crushing to you? Like, did you go in with pretty high hopes and then
Oh
the
yeah,
courts
I went
just
in with high hopes that she was going to be forced to
yeah,
and I even wrote her a letter
yeah,
that said, you've got people, her mom and her dad and her stepmother bought him presents the first Christmas.
yeah,
They didn't know, had never met him. But they were willing. All of that family was willing to take him in as their relative.
yeah.
And you're throwing that all away just because you're mad at me because I moved on. And I moved on because you moved on way before me.
Yeah. Wow.
It just, I don't know, crazy situations. Like,
I mean, it's I guess some level of a blessing that you're able to process it like this and just keep living and just keep finding ways of having a prosperous, fulfilling life rather than, I don't know, just carrying around rage and grudges and all that stuff.
what does rage help you accomplish? It doesn't help you accomplish anything.
Yeah.
If anything, I mean, it helped me with these guys. They're my life now.
I'm guessing he hasn't met them, they haven't met him, like there's no...
They've seen him, like in the grocery store, or they've seen him at Special Olympics, because Reagan does Special Olympics also.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's my in-laws.
Okay.
I showed them him last year when we had Special Olympics.
Yeah.
Because he happened to walk by, and it's like... But if I, even in that situation, he's usually with his brother or his mother, and it's like, I try to say hi or something, hey, wave to him. He doesn't,
Like he heard you, but doesn't acknowledge?
He doesn't even acknowledge that I said anything, or, and whether it's, if he would do it if he was out on his own somewhere, I don't know,
That's...
a boy of them.
Yeah.
David.
So you reactivated when it was 2013 when you wrote me, so it must have been 2012ish when you reactivated. Well, and then you mentioned that after you guys got sealed, there was kind of a period of inactivity there due to some offenses and what have you. So what happened after that? Like, how did you?
We hadn't been going, and I kept telling her we've got to get back. We were fighting. We were arguing all the time and different things. And I said, we didn't do this when we went to church. And she still, it took. I was ready to go back before she was.
Oh yeah.
But out of respect for my wife, I said, I'm going to try to hold out. And, and now it's difficult because she just got a new job in the same place she was working, but she hasn't started it yet. Right now, her job is a weekend job. So I have to get up, get all 3 kids ready for church, and go to church, and I'm the only one there. Now, she was there this weekend, but, and then once she gets this new job, when she starts this new job, she'll be able to go again. So that'll be nice. But, we just decided that we needed to go back because we needed to figure things out with it. If You know, they say you get married in the eyes of God and everyone that's at the ceremony.
Yeah.
But did you invite him into your home afterwards?
Yeah.
You know, and inactive is it's a stigmatized word.
It really is.
Because we've had, I mean, as a branch mission leader, look at all these inactives on our, well, you know, some of them people, nobody's seen them in 7 years, you know, but our clerk won't take them off of the roll because, you know, but I said, even when we weren't active, we were still reading the Bible. We were still, I mean, well, she moved it. I had the family proclamation still on my wall.
Yeah.
You know, there are things that we were still doing even though we weren't going to church.
Yeah.
You know.
Which I think is pretty common. It's one of the harder parts about being lumped into that stigma of inactive is faith-wise or belief-wise.
No, I never.
Still very much believing in it, but whether it be offense or whether it be struggling with different commandments or just whatever keeps them from feeling like they don't belong.
You know, I remember when I wrote to you that, and I explained that, hey, we're getting sealed and blah blah blah, and you had said, well, you know, you hadn't been going to church, but your brother had been inviting you over.
Yeah.
Consequently, coincidentally on Monday nights, you know, and I said, you know, but I kind of felt like between your brother and just me reaching out.
Yes.
I said it's like a full circle. You brought me to the gospel. I helped you bring you back.
Yes.
No, I'm not solely responsible. You're solely responsible, but you had help.
True. Yeah.
You know, you have to be ready.
Which after the fact, after, you know, I actually did, you know, come back and what have you, that was probably one of my most tender recollections of that, is that in the moment getting your message, it was cool and very touching to see something that I wanted for you, not in the sense of just the church being your whole life, but just the full blessings of what the church has to offer. I wanted that for you, and to see that you'd gotten there made me happy, regardless of my own relationship to it. But then once I got back involved, to think in the grand perspective of how God deals with his children, that like he sent me here to help you, and then he sent you to help me. And it's I feel like it was President Monson that it was either a poem or something he read where he was talking about candles in a storm or something, where like as you go out into the world, your candle lights other people's candles. And what can happen sometimes is the wind can blow you out, or the water can, you know, and whatever. And those candles that you've lit can come back and can help light your candle again. And it's a nice analogy about how that works. But
I mean, I've shared that in church. You know, it's kind of neat that he helped get me to the gospel, and then now that I'm back, I kind of helped a little bit in my own little way.
A very big way.
To, you know, get him thinking, even if it's just enough to get you thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, and your brother saying, hey, come on over.
Every week,
you know.
Took a long time. It's even, I mean, that's it. I think you just now boiled missionary work down to all it really is. What is missionary work? It's just getting you thinking. And then when you get to the point where you're ready to make a commitment, yes, we can be there to help you, like, take whatever step you need to step, but it's just, that's repentance. Repentance is just getting you thinking.
You know, we had a training in Altoona, and they talked about, like, your ministering to families.
Yeah.
And they said, the thing you've got to remember, don't go in there. You know, the problem with home teaching was you went in there, you had the first presidency message, and that was what you did.
Yeah.
You know, and then you said, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Pretty much that was your home teaching in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Now, they said, as a minister, you want to get to know your family. Become their friend before you ever worry about presenting something to them.
Yes.
You know, because if they look at you as a friend,
yeah,
they're going to be more receptive
yes.
versus You know, you go in there and try to force feed them a message from the first presidency when they haven't been coming to church for 5 years or whatever the case may be. You know, I think though, sometimes I think the missionaries, not trying to be, but hey, can I get you to set a baptism? Can I, you know, and
it's like we all have intentions for how our energies are spent. We want things to end a certain way, but
it seems like, you know, sometimes it's pushy.
Yeah.
And when I think a lot of people that had joined the church or have joined the church felt pressure.
Yes.
To do it.
Yep.
And then they, after the fact, they're like, what did I, you know?
Yes.
I think we need to be more intent as a church to, it's not about the number of people. If you save one person, that's enough.
Yeah.
It's not about getting 30 different people to get baptized and only 2 of them come.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's what I think it needs to get more towards.
And everything you just said is why you're the branch mission leaders. It's that mentality that a place like Kane,
oh yeah,
there's no other way to handle a place like Kane. You just gotta.
You think about Kane is tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, and how many times have you knocked on this door and gotten it slammed in your face?
And if you didn't, 12 other missionaries before you just did. Yeah.
But you know, and you hear stories about it all the time where somebody's bearing their testimony and say, you know, the missionary said, we've been down that street 20 times and we've never, but yet that time, I don't know, I just feel like we need to go down, and now they're a thriving member of our church, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lady, and I know she's been a member for a long time, and her last name was Swanson, so they all thought she was related to me. The big thing for the missionaries is, oh, well, we've got to go visit her at least once. And I said, well, why? Well, because she's got a kangaroo.
Missionaries are the best. Like,
she
that's
does
a
have a
good
kangaroo. This thing doesn't look, I mean, it looks physically like a kangaroo, but it looks like it walks around like a dog on all 4 legs. It is the weirdest looking kangaroo I've ever seen. But, you know, but you asked any of the missionaries that have been here in the last 5 years, and they all say, yeah, we had to go see the kangaroo. Okay.
Which is maybe one of his weird reasons for sending 19-year-olds, because there's something, we're so easily amused that, like, the smallest thing can, like,
I can kind
make us happy.
Relate in a way, because I was 17 when I left home. I went in the Army. At 17 years old, I celebrated my 18th birthday in basic training. Not the place you want to celebrate your 18th birthday. You know, and then, like I said, you see these people, and like one of our missionaries that just left had a 21st birthday. Or 20th birthday. And one of the sisters said, and this is a person I think is kind of, you know, really about that. She says, only 1 more year till the hangover. And I'm like, did you just say that? On social media to the missionary? You know, I mean, but I really, these people just moved here from California about 6 months ago.
Oh, yeah?
He's a CPA, and she stays at home right now, but she's trying to find a job in her thing, but like, she'll sit there with Charlie, and, you know, for many of our sacrament meetings, they would go into the nursery and just sit quiet. You know, because they couldn't keep quiet, and this week she was out there and she made them these little things with paper that kind of open up and look like little munchies, and he stayed quiet the whole meeting and stayed in the meeting. Well, I mean, he walked out a couple of different times to get a drink, but, you know, he stayed there and he stayed engaged. She's willing to take, she had asked me before our snowstorm, she says, can we, she says, I'll tell you what, she says, this week when we go to church, she says, how about you let me go in the nursery with Charlie and Kane so you can actually enjoy the sacrament? Because it was like, I was running in and out of sacrament 5-6 times.
Yeah.
Just, he would come running in, and then I get the looks, and I'm like going, we were in priesthood meeting, and he came in, him and Kane both, and they were running, and one of the guys gave me a look, and I said, hey, your wife was in charge of primary, why the hell ain't she? They're supposed to be, when they go to primary, they're supposed to be taken care of,
right.
So why is he here?
Yeah.
Not my problem, not my fault. Keep him engaged.
Yeah.
He does fine in the class part, but now they've changed it, and they do singing time the first 20 minutes.
Yep.
And he disrupts everybody else. It's like, what do you want us to do? And I said, I don't know, try keeping them engaged in something. Well, I don't want to have to go outside, because she took him outside the one time and let him draw with chalk. I come outside, there's a line the whole way across the parking lot. And, I'm like going, but, you've got to keep him engaged. I don't care if you give him a picture and he draws.
Yeah.
Or, he likes to do some stuff like that. And so, figure it out. But I shouldn't be getting him running in and out of priesthood meetings 3 times while you're in charge of him for an hour.
Yeah. It's true.
Sorry if you don't like me. That's the way it is.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
The kids are... And the funny thing is, if you hear any stories about her son, he was him in a nutshell. He was taken to the kitchen, and you're going to sit here, you're going to be quiet while so you're not disrupting anybody. And now, he's the second counselor in the vice presidency. He went on a mission, and I'll tell you, if you want to see somebody that a mission changed, that's not kidding. Yeah? He was rowdy. He would, they'd go out 4-wheeling and all kind of. He'd come to church every time, but he didn't really. But boy, he went on that mission, and he come back a changed person. For the first little while, he was a vegetarian. I was like, vegetarian is just the Indian word for poor hunter. I seen one guy's shirt that said vegetarian means my food poops on your food.
I've seen that bumper sticker. It's good.
It just. But and to see him, he was always very loud. Now he talks and real soft and got a demeanor about him. And
missions do chill you out in a lot of ways.
Well, he went from here to California. He was in Compton. Yeah. He was in the bad areas. He was in the Long Beach mission, but he was in the bad areas.
He's a pup.
And then he was a bike missionary.
Oh, fun!
Yeah.
I
They didn't even get a car. Yeah. Well, that's one of the problems we have here with the missionaries is, they want to go teach all these people, but you know what? People got to team up and help them because they only get so many miles. Yeah. And we're such a huge area. You go, even from Ridgeway. Ridgeway is kind of central. Okay, let's say I go to Du Bois today. That's 60 miles.
Guys,
it's
included.
Say I go to Guys. There's 60 or 70 miles. Yeah. And you only get 1,300 for the month. Yeah. And then they send them, you got to go to Altoona for a meeting. Or you got to go here for a district meeting in Brookville. And, and they allow them a little extra because of that, but not nearly. Yeah. So, you're trying to tell them, I've went to their house and picked them up and brought them to Kane. Or, hey, you drive to Johnsonburg, I'll meet you at the CVS, you park the car there, and I'll bring you up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen all different kinds of missionaries. You have some that you look at and you go, wow, they're really about it. And then you get other ones that are, oh, I mean, we had one guy, he would just, he couldn't answer anything. He would like to answer everything in the voice of Ricky Bobby. Oh yeah, it was annoying. And we ended up, we used to have the missionaries here once a week.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
And it was just, okay, well then we got yelled at for having them so often. Yeah. But, and then another thing is we used to take them to Pizza Hut on their last, when they found out they were getting transferred, we'd all go to Pizza Hut and they'd color a picture. That was just a tradition. And with this guy, he ruined it for, and then we had another guy, Elder Gale was his name. He was from American Forks, Utah. Him and his companion came up. I had asked them to come up and help me lay this floor and paint a little bit. He ended up painting, and he had drips down the side. He was painting woodwork. I was sicker than a dog. I was coughing and stuff. We did these 2 rooms in 4 hours. Me and Elder Zoom Wall. Yeah. We called him Umi Zumi. He's actually one of the few missionaries that has come back to visit. You're like the third one. But at least he held, the other guy, he was more enthralled with watching TV. We had one guy, he'd come in and he'd go, we're not allowed to watch TV, right? I said, yeah. I said, so turn your head because I'm watching the football game. And he'd go, you could see him.
Yeah.
Because he was, well, that was when he got off his mission, he was going to go to Utah State and play football.
Oh, nice.
So he was into it. And he ended up, while he was on his mission, his parents moved to Texas from Utah. And he went to be with them, ended up marrying some girl, and he's still in Texas as far as I know.
Wow.
But we had one guy that he'd walk out and he'd do this thing where he'd jump up in the air, one foot would go one way, one foot would go the other way. Yeah. And then it looked like he was going to bite his shoulder, but he yawed like a donkey. Yeah. That was his thing. I mean, it takes all kinds, but you see you see the ones that are really into it, and you see the ones that are, and you can see a change too. I mean, the one sister we have right now, she showed us pictures of when she was at home. Yeah. She was a goth princess. I mean, she had the black makeup and black clothes and everything else, and you look at her right now and you never tell that. She showed us a picture, we're like, really? Okay. And one of my first ones, her name was Sister Cox. She was an MP in the service, and so was I. Oh, so we had a connection from that. Because as soon as she said that, and I was like, yes. And she come back, she says, they actually changed the number for the MOS, but I said, and we went, Ridgeway has a parade every year, and we pulled the handcart in the parade. And she was telling me this, she says, yeah, I was going to go to school and go to officer school. She says, but I just could not get over the fact that somebody someday would call me Major Cox. I went, I kind of went, and I'm like, it's just, you have to let them be a human once in a while too. Yeah. You can't just force them to be strictly 100% every day. I know they're on a mission, but they need to have a little bit of fun too. 100%.
And you were good at that. You were good at helping us.
Oh yeah.
Just relax and enjoy talking with you
Right. I
addition
mean,
to
we
times where
still
had
did
things to share with
lessons,
you.
and
Yeah.
we did, you know.
Uh-huh.
Hey,
We had a good time.
we were talking about. Hey, did you ever hear this song? And, oh, I love that guy. You know. And,
well, seriously, sincerely, thank you for not only just letting me come and visit, but letting me impose upon you to help me tell a story, I guess, of a time in my life, but also introduce people to you. That's fun. That's a treasure for me because you were a very big part of my life, both in a missionary experience and as we've talked about since then, helping me get
What are you doing?
helped me think about this stuff again to the point that I
Why
allowed
do you have
to
my
become important.
cup?
So thank you for that. Thank you for being here and all of this.
thank you for coming back and seeing little old me.